Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have the latest from the live radar, run for the UKV, have the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, as we have got some wetter conditions coming towards the end of this working week into the weekend. It's not going to be horrific, but we will be seeing a lot more showers and some spells of persistent rain. Temperatures look like they're going to be around average or above average, and as we head into next week we could be seeing high pressure taking control, definitely in the south but potentially further northwards as well. And it could give milder and drier conditions for all as we do come to the close of October. So that does mean for Halloween it's actually looking pretty good. It does look like it'll be, as I said, fairly mild. Temperatures could be in the mid to high teens, and it is looking fairly dry. Not guaranteed because it is still around 8 days away, but those longer range charts are looking fairly high pressure dominated. Some of them are starting to show something maybe a little bit chillier in the longer range, but at least the short to medium range is looking, as I said, mild, potentially even warm and dry. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Now, if you start on the live radar, you can see it is another dry day today. Recording this around 4:30, 5 o'clock, and you can see it is not too bad. Plenty of sunshine. Temperatures are not particularly warm, but they're not particularly cold either, kind of average at the moment. You can see there is some rain out to our west off the coast of the Republic of Ireland. That is the rainfall that is slowly moving in, is going to give more persistent rain through Thursday and Friday, but still got a good few hours until that starts to move in. You can see, as said, this afternoon temperatures are fairly mild. It's not just the south as well. You can see even up to northern Scotland, plenty of yellows, which can be completely gone at this time of year, but we have got some fairly mild conditions to end October, widely, as I said, mid-teens. Now, if you look at the latest UKV, you can see that rain is slowly spreading in from the west overnight tonight, but it will take a while to make any real progression. But by around Thursday lunchtime, it is starting to move in for the Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland and Western Scotland through the evening. Now, it's really into Friday morning where it starts to make progress further eastwards. Uncertainty with the intensity and the persistent nature of this precipitation. It keeps moving around with its positioning and timings, but around Friday morning to maybe lunchtime we'll see some more widespread rain spreading through. But by the afternoon, especially into the mid to late afternoon, it does look like it will turn fairly dry for England and Wales, rain persisting still in Scotland and Northern Ireland. As we head into Saturday, more rain moving in, but mainly further northwards and westwards as we start to see that high pressure nudging in for southern regions, and that stays the same into Sunday with a bit of rain in the far south, but generally it is starting to turn a little bit better. Sunday we do start to see some more persistent rain moving in for all, as we do see another brief area of low pressure, but you can see the intensity isn't particularly high. Most of the precipitation here is blues or greens at worst, so not particularly high in terms of intensity, so it shouldn't be too bad. And then you can see as we head in towards Monday, that rain slowly clears, does intensify a little bit, but slowly clears to our southeast. And as we head into the early part of next week, that's when we'll start to see high pressure properly building in. Now, if you look at the max temperatures, you can see as we head through this afternoon, widely low to mid-teens, if not 16, 17 in the southeast, very mild for the time of year. Into Thursday, it's a similar story. Again, we're looking at 15, 16 degrees at best. As we head into Friday, further westwards with that rain moving in, it's going to be colder, of course with slightly chillier air mass, but still in the east, 15, 16. Again, the end of October, can't ask for much more than that. Into Saturday, slightly chillier for all, more towards the low teens, as we do have a slightly fresher air mass, but of course it is oscillating up and down with these areas of low pressure moving through. And then as we head into Sunday, much colder in the north, but really, again, not too bad. And by the afternoon, it does start to turn milder, again, 16 degrees possible towards London. So you can see it is quite up and down over the next few days. It is going to be unsettled at times, but generally we are looking at milder temperatures, and we're not looking at any sort of impactful precipitation. Yes, there will be some heavy rain around, but we're not looking at big walls of rain. We're probably not looking at any warnings, or at least hopefully at this stage we're not looking at any warnings, but it's just going to be a classic autumnal feel over the coming days before it does start to turn drier next week. Now, if you do head over to the next, latest GFS, we can see that dry weather coming next week. And we have got high pressure in control at the moment, but low pressure squeezes through, and that sort of persists a little bit into the weekend. Now, it does look like high pressure extending in through Saturday and Sunday, but still remnants of precipitation around, and that's why we are still going to see a bit of rain perhaps through Sunday and Monday. But as you get into Tuesday, high pressure firmly builds in, and it does go very dry. Now, yes, you can see just before the day 10 mark here for the 1st of November, we do see a bit of lower pressure moving through, but generally high pressure still in control, especially further southwards and maybe further northwards as well at times. Wind direction, southwesterly, so it is very mild. If we look at those upper air temperatures, you can see it is well above average, 8 to 10 degrees above average, and that will equate to warmer conditions at the surface. Again, we're looking at probably mid-teens, maybe even high teens, and I know that doesn't sound amazing, it doesn't sound incredible. Look, 15, 16 here for the 5th of November. It doesn't sound, as said, incredible, but for early November, we can see horrific conditions. We can see 8 or 9 degrees and rain all day. So 15, 16 under high pressure is very good indeed. And of course, as I have said a few times throughout this autumn, and of course, as we've said in our winter look-aheads, by the time we get into the second half of November, that's when we could start to see cold weather and snow. So 5th of November, still seeing 16 degrees, just shows you that we are on the very warm end of the sort of possibilities for November, because of course in a week or two's time after this we could be getting towards freezing, if not below freezing, for daytime temperatures in a few spots, like we saw in 2010, like we saw for the last few days in 2021. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see, but definitely looks like we're in for a very warm and dry start to November. Definitely for southern areas, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is further northwards as well. And if we do put on the accumulated precipitation, you can see for much of England and Wales it is dry. For the far north and west, there could still be quite a lot of heavy rain around. It doesn't look like it's going to be any single event. It does look like it's just going to accumulate slowly over a longer period of time. And it's all because high pressure to our south and our east is blocking these areas of precipitation, and it kind of stalls. There is the potential for a bit of a river rain there for parts of western Scotland, but of course very small nudges in the movement of the low pressure high pressure divide will make a big difference to that. So I wouldn't look at this as definitive at this stage, but that could be a possibility potentially for those northern and western regions. But as I said, for England and Wales, looking fairly dry and fairly warm. Now, right towards the end of the run, we do see a bit of high pressure extending towards Greenland and Iceland, trying to develop a northerly wind. And there is some quite cold air trying to move in, maybe even some snow for Scotland. But for most, it never fully pushes in, and we actually do see a very mild air mass moving back in, as it is a very temporary northerly wind. So just hints of maybe a little bit of a change there as we head into mid-November for northern areas, but the mild dry theme is persisting pretty well again today. If you compare to the GM, again, high pressure and controlled at the moment. Low pressure squeezing through this weekend, and eventually high pressure returns by around Tuesday. Here you can see that low pressure moving through on Monday. That gives that bit of rain that we saw in the UKV, but high pressure dominating by Tuesday, Wednesday, and you can see for Halloween, it is very dry, especially in southern areas. Maybe not so much further northwards and westwards, but for most of England and Wales, again, looking very dry and most likely would be very warm as well. Again, we're not looking at record-breaking temperatures, but mid-teens would be quite likely. Again, let's have a look if we can get those 3 p.m. temperatures. We can't, but it'll be probably around that 13, 14, maybe 15 degree mark, maybe even warmer further northwards where we've got a bit more of a stronger southwesterly wind. But again, very pleasant for the time of year. And you see the high pressure continues to dominate all the way to day 10 into early November. So again, fairly strong consistency here from the GM. Now, if you finally compare to the ECMWF, again, high pressure and control at the moment, low pressure nudging through this weekend, but high pressure returning in force for Tuesday and Wednesday next week, and it continues to hold all the way to day 10. Again, does lose its strength a little bit across Scotland, but for most, out towards day 10. You can see for England and Wales, it is very dry, and it is very warm. Now we can see this really persisting on the latest ensembles. There was a little more deviation in the temperatures over the last couple of days, but starting to sort of knuckle down these ensemble members and starting to agree on not only dry conditions that we've known for a couple of days, but also warmer conditions. Now I'm not going to say it's definitely going to be very warm at the surface, because again, this time of year we can see inversions, we can see overnight frosts, and we can see very big diurnal ranges between the that's the of course the difference between the top temperature during the day and the cold and the temperature during the night. So the difference between the high and the low can be very large. So I'm not going to say it's going to be very warm, just because there is scope for it not to be very warm, even though the sort of indicators do show that. But the outlook is very positive. Good few degrees above average at the upper air level, and you can see all the way through to early November. It is looking fairly bone dry, at least for southern regions. Again, a bit of rain this weekend, maybe Friday, a bit more on Sunday perhaps, but really nothing compared to what we can see this time of year. Of course, if I look at Glasgow, bit more rain. Again, there are drier patches here, like the next couple of days, early next week into Halloween, but you can see over the weekend and perhaps longer range, precipitation does pick up, but again, it's nowhere near as high as it can be this time of year. So it is looking overall dry and warm, but of course, there is going to be more emphasis further southwards, just because of where the jet stream is. Again, it is pushing northwards. We are seeing high pressure dominate, but it is still going to be closer to Scotland than it is towards England and Wales. Therefore, there's always the higher risk in Scotland for seeing a bit of a return of precipitation. Now, if you look at the ECMWF ensembles to finish off, very dry as well and well above average, so very similar to the GFS. And if we look at Glasgow again to give us our northern perspective, for Scotland, very similar, bit of a dry patch at the moment, bit dry into the middle of next week, including Halloween, generally above average, but precipitation does try to persist once again into early November. So that's exactly how it does play out, but I must emphasise, for November and for late October, we have a really good outlook. It can be a lot worse this time of year. We can see lots of very up and down temperature charts, and we can see just walls of precipitation moving in. There will be rain around over the next 2 weeks. It is autumn after all, but really it is pretty good indeed for mid to late autumn. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to enjoy the sunny and warmish conditions we're going to see the next couple of weeks, because we are going to flick a switch at some point through November where these sort of mid-teens, 16, 17, 18 degrees become a real rarity again until probably March, April time at the earliest. So do cherish it. As I continue to say, it is going to flick a switch at some point where kind of like 9 or 10 degrees, even for London, is going to become the norm. So thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.